I want you to picture a hammer. It's sitting there in a toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfectly good tool, sturdy, reliable, but it just sits there. It does absolutely nothing until you walk over, pick it up, and swing it.
Right.
That is how I think 99% of us are treating AI right now.
We're treating it like a hammer.
Exactly. We use it when we need it, then we put it away. But the dream, the real dream we're all chasing, that isn't the hammer, it's the construction worker.
Yeah.
You just tell the worker, build a wall right there, you walk away, and when you come back, the job is done.
And that shift from the tool in the box to the worker on the site, that is where the economics of this whole thing just completely change.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are exploring a really fascinating shift in how we interact with this technology. We're moving beyond just chatting with a bot. We're talking about setting up autonomous agents. Specifically, we're looking at a system called Moltbot to generate passive income. We're going to be calm, practical, and really try to get into the mechanics.
Yeah. I am so excited for this one, and specifically the money part of it.
Right.
Because we've done installation guides before, we've talked tech stacks, but this is not about installing Python just for the sake of it. This is purely about the economics. How do you actually turn an autonomous agent into an asset that works for you while you sleep?
Right. So let's map out where we're going. We have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
We're going to start with the philosophy of set and forget. What that really means technically.
Right.
Then we'll look at building a service business, both physical and, in the cloud.
And then we'll pivot to digital products, so selling the skills themselves. After that, direct income like arbitrage and content creation. And finally, and this is so crucial, we'll break down a specific 3-week execution plan because the source material is very clear about how to start without getting overwhelmed.
It really requires a different way of thinking. I think the source describes it as moving from the chat to the loop.
Oh.
Most people, myself included, use AI like a calculator.
Yeah, it's active work.
I type a question, I wait, it gives me an answer.
And you are the bottleneck in that whole equation. If you stop typing, the value stops. So the source introduces this concept of the cron job.
Okay.
Now, for anyone who hasn't spent time in a terminal, that sounds like pure jargon.
A little bit, yeah. Let's unpack that. Cron job. It sounds intimidating.
It sounds scary, but it's actually really boring. A cron job is just a simple instruction to the computer, do this thing at this time forever.
So when I'm chatting with ChatGPT, I'm the trigger.
Exactly. You type, it answers. In this model, the time is the trigger.
So give me a concrete example. How does this loop work in the real world?
Okay. So instead of waking up and asking, hey, what's new in crypto, you script a command. You tell your bot, every single morning at 8 a.m., check the top 5 crypto news sites, summarize the trends, and post it to my Twitter account.
And once you hit enter on that one command,
you never have to touch it again. That's the difference. The bot wakes up at 8, does the work, and goes back to sleep. It does that every single day.
There's something kind of wonderful about that, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, just the idea that you can trigger a command once and it ripples out into the future. It's like infinite leverage.
It's massive.
You do the work one time, and the machine just honors that instruction forever.
And it removes the friction of starting. The machine doesn't need coffee. It doesn't get distracted. It just runs the schedule.
So if we had to distill this down, what's the fundamental difference between a tool and an agent?
A tool waits for you. An agent acts for you 24/7.
Okay, so that's the philosophy. But let's talk about actually selling this. The source outlines 2 paths for a service business. And the first one is called Assistant in a Box.
Right.
I have to be honest, when I read this part, I was a little skeptical.
Oh, yeah. Why is that?
Well, it suggests you physically buy a computer, like a Mac Mini.
Right.
You install the agent, set up all the security, and then you literally mail the computer to the client. And in the age of the cloud, setting a physical box just feels backwards. Why would we do that?
It does sound counterintuitive, but the source argues this isn't a technical problem you're solving, it's a psychological one.
What do you mean?
Think about the client, a small business owner. They are drowning in admin work. They've heard about AI, but they are terrified of a black and white command line.
They don't want to see the code?
They don't want to see code. They don't want to log into some server they don't understand.
So the box is like a security blanket.
That's it, exactly. It's tangible. It sits on their desk. They see the little light blinking. And if they get nervous, they can physically unplug it from the wall.
That makes so much sense. That physical control is what you're actually selling.
Yes. So you charge a setup fee, say $1,500 to $2,500, then a monthly maintenance fee. And the value is massive, right? They
Yeah.
just saved 20 hours a week.
Right. But obviously, that model doesn't scale infinitely. You can't be mailing out 1,000 boxes.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the second model, the automated VA agency.
This is for the clients who don't care about the hardware. You host the bots yourself on a cloud server, AWS, DigitalOcean, whatever. You basically become the landlord of the bots.
And what are these bots doing for people?
The low-level stuff, the repetitive cognitive labor, checking email drafts, scanning calendars for conflicts, doing competitor research. The source breaks down the math, and it's pretty compelling.
Walk me through the margins on that, because cloud hosting, that sounds expensive.
It's surprisingly cheap. To run one bot on a server might cost you 10, maybe $20 a month. Add another 30 for API fees. That's the cost of the AI's thinking.
So your total cost is about $50.
Roughly $50. And you charge the client $300 a month.
So you're clearing $250 a month for each client.
Right. Get 10 clients, and that's $2,500 in profit, and you're not doing the work. The code is.
Okay, but devil's advocate here. Dealing with clients is hard. Support tickets, phone calls. My bot is acting weird. What if I don't want to talk to humans?
Then you pivot to digital products. You build the app store for bots.
And this is where we get into selling skills. Now, when the source says skill, they don't mean a tutorial. They mean an actual file, right?
Correct. In this Moltbot ecosystem, a skill is just a configuration file. It's the code that teaches the AI a specific workflow. You build the brain, you sell the brain.
The source gives a couple of great examples. One was the YouTube processor.
Yeah, this is a perfect entry-level example. Think about content creators. They have video, they need text. You write a skill that connects to a YouTube downloader. The user drops in a link, and the bot downloads the audio, transcribes it, and then writes a whole blog post.
Yeah, and you sell that file for what, like 29 bucks?
Exactly. It's a volume game.
Yeah.
But then you have the high-value skills, like the lead hunter.
This one sounded a little more aggressive.
It is. It uses a tool called Appify. And the workflow is something like, find me 50 marketing managers in London. The bot goes out, scrapes LinkedIn, pulls the data, and populates a spreadsheet. That is a soul-crushing task for a human. For a bot, it's nothing. You can sell that for $99 easily.
And then there's the idea of prompt libraries.
Selling mastery packs, things like act as a legal expert or act as a senior copywriter. You create the prompt once, you make sure it works, and you sell it 1,000 times.
I have to admit something here.
Okay.
I've tried this. I've tried to build these really consistent prompts, and I still really wrestle with what they call prompt drift.
Yes, the drift.
You know, you get it working perfectly one day, and then by Friday, I don't know, the model updates something, and suddenly the legal tone sounds like a pirate. It's way harder than it sounds.
It is, and that's actually where the value is. If it were easy, you couldn't sell it. You are selling the reliability of that configuration.
You're selling the guarantee that this prompt works.
Exactly. So what are you actually selling with a skill or a prompt pack?
You're selling the configuration file, the instructions that make the bot do a job without hallucinating.
Let's move to the third income bucket, direct income. This is where we cut out the client entirely. We're not selling the bot, we're not selling the skill, we're sending the bot out into the world to just bring back money.
The automated content machine and arbitrage.
Exactly.
Let's start with the content machine. The source mentioned a specific file type here that I thought was fascinating, a soul.md file.
Yeah, this is where it gets really sci-fi.
A soul file. It sounds so poetic for a coding tutorial.
It really does. But technically, it's super simple. It's just a text file where you paste your own best writing, your emails, your blogs, whatever. The bot analyzes that file to learn your syntax, your humor, your style.
So it's not just generating generic AI content. It's wearing your skin.
A little creepy, but yes. It takes dry facts, say, from a Google Trends search, and rewrites them through the lens of your soul.md file. That's how you can automate a blog that people actually want to read.
And the revenue just comes from ads or affiliate links on the site.
Right. You're building a media company where the reporters are robots, but they all write just like you.
The other method was market arbitrage, buying low, selling high.
But using AI for speed. The example they gave was vintage cameras on eBay.
Okay.
You tell the bot, check eBay every hour. If you see this specific vintage camera listed for under $50, message me on Telegram immediately.
So you're just looking for mispriced items.
You're looking for mistakes. Someone just wants to get rid of something. They list it cheap, the bot sees it instantly, you buy it for $50, you resell it for $150.
And then there's the finance side of it, using APIs to track sentiment.
Right. And obvious disclaimer here, this is not financial advice, but the tech lets you monitor, say, Twitter mentions of Bitcoin ETF. If those mentions spike 50% in an hour, that's a signal. The bot can catch that signal before the mainstream news even writes the headline.
So when it comes to arbitrage, what's the bot's main advantage?
Speed. It finds the deal before a human can physically scroll down the page to see it.
We are going to take a very short break. When we come back, we're going to walk through the 3-week plan to actually get all of this up and running. Okay, we are back. We've covered the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. Because that gap between understanding a concept and actually having a bot running can be massive.
It is. And the source lays out a 3-week plan that's really designed to bridge that gap.
So, week 1, the setup phase. The source mentions using a tool called Warp. Why Warp? Why not just the standard terminal?
This is a huge tip for beginners. The standard terminal, that black box with white text, it's unforgiving. You make one typo, it just yells error at you. It doesn't help.
Right?
Warp is an AI native terminal.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning if you type a command and it fails, you can literally right-click the error and ask Warp, hey, what did I do wrong? And it will often explain the mistake and just write the correction for you.
Like a safety net.
Exactly. So week 1 isn't about making money. It's just about getting Moltbot installed inside Warp and connecting it to Telegram.
Just connecting the pipes.
Right. You send a message on Telegram and your computer responds. That's the only goal.
It sounds small, but that feedback loop, I text my computer, it texts back, that's the hello world moment for this whole thing.
Once you have that trust, you move to week 2, the experiment. The source suggests something low stakes, like checking your Gmail.
Why Gmail?
Because the API is free and the pain point is real. You can just ask the bot to scan for urgent emails and summarize them for you.
And this is where the agent part kicks in, right? You're not sitting there writing the code yourself.
No. And this is the hurdle people need to clear. You're telling the agent, here is the documentation for the Gmail API. Please write a script to check my inbox. You are managing the coder, not doing the coding.
It builds your confidence. Once you see it work, you realize, okay, this is actually real.
Exactly. And then in week 3, you monetize. You just pick your path, service, product, or direct.
Let's talk about scaling this up. Because one bot checking email is cool. But 100 bots?
Yeah.
That's a business.
And this is where virtual scaling comes in. If you have a bot running a cooking blog and it's making $100 a month, you don't just stop there. You spin up 10 more bots.
One for cars, one for tech.
One for gardening. You just clone the worker. But, and this is a really big but, you have to watch your costs.
The API fees, they can eat you alive if you're not careful. OpenAI charges for every single token.
They do, which is why the source suggests using local models. Instead of paying OpenAI, you use a tool called a Llama to run a model like Llama 3 directly on your own computer.
So you're basically bringing the brain in-house.
Exactly. If your machine is powerful enough, it's free. Your electricity bill goes up a little, but your API bill is zero. It's the difference between renting intelligence and owning it.
The source ends with a bit of a reality check. It calls this semi-passive.
Which is honest. You have to build the machine first. You can't just wish it into existence. And there's a warning here, too. Do not use this for spam.
Right.
Don't be the person flooding inboxes or ruining the internet with junk. Use it to create value. Research, deal finding, curation.
So for someone listening who is feeling a bit intimidated by all this, what's the actual barrier to entry here?
It's just the willingness to learn the basics of how computers and APIs work. It's grit, not genius.
Let's bring this all together. The big idea. We are looking at a fundamental shift in how wealth is created.
We are moving from a world where we trade our time for money, which is linear growth, to a world where we manage digital employees.
And the stack we've talked about gives you options. You can be the agency, renting out bots to stressed business owners.
Or you can be the architect, selling the instructions, the skills to other users.
Or you can be the trader, using bots to find money in the margins of the market through arbitrage.
The common thread is that you are no longer the one doing the heavy lifting. You're the one who designs the workflow.
It does leave us with a lingering question, though. If we all have these soul files, these digital versions of ourselves working 24/7, what happens to the value of the original work?
That's the paradox, isn't it? As the bots get better at imitating us, the only thing that will hold value is the one thing they can't automate. The actual, messy, offline human experience.
The hammer can hit the nail. but it can't decide which wall to build.
Precisely.
So here's my challenge to you. Stop treating AI like a novelty. Stop asking it to write poems about your cat. The opportunity right now is massive because most people are still stuck in the chat phase. Don't wait until everyone has a bot farm. Go build your worker.
Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.